Go ahead. If policy demands it, I won't move. The gate fell silent for half a breath, then the buzz of clippers returned. Two uniformed employees pressed Zarah Cole into a molded plastic chair at gate C-17, elbows braced, faces tight with the kind of confidence people wear when a crowd is watching. Hair clippings, her tight, springy coils, speckled the terrazzo like black confetti. Phone cameras ringed the scene. Somewhere behind the lenses, a live streamer narrated, voice bright with spectacle. Gate enforcement, folks. Standard grooming compliance. Zarah's cream silk blouse looked like it had been poured on. Her boarding pass, 1A, lay half hidden under the toe of a security boot. A matte black metal card had skittered away in the earlier scuffle and now sat among scattered business cards no one bothered to read. She glanced at her watch. Unhurried, precise. Hold her steady, said Marla Kent, the gate lead, clippers humming in her fist. We can't seat first class with disarray, a ripple of chuckles. Someone whistled. Someone else zoomed in. The PA chimed overhead, final boarding for Flight 447 in 28 minutes, and the circle tightened, hungry for a tidy ending before departure. Zarah lifted her eyes to the live streamer, Ty Walsh, lanyard flashing until his spiel faltered. She didn't glare. She regarded. It felt like a professional evaluation given in absolute quiet. Continue, she said, voice satin over steel. I'm learning. The clippers kissed another line across her crown. A few in the back shifted, discomfort creeping in around the edges of the spectacle. Most kept filming. Derek Shaw, assistant manager, strode up, corporate smile glued in place. Comply now and we'll issue a voucher for tomorrow. Very generous, plus a grooming kit. Zarah's phone vibrated against her thigh. Sarah, executive ops, scrolled across the lock screen. 42 missed calls. A market alert flashed and vanished. Cole Aeronautics Consulting. Pre-market uptick on Federal News. Sir, Zarah asked calmly, eyes on Derek, which page of your policy authorizes cutting a passenger's hair? Ma'am, you're obstructing the boarding process, he replied, gesturing toward the clippers as if they were a form to be signed. We're helping you meet standards. Standards, Zarah repeated, tasting the word like a lab sample. She inhaled, slow, exhaled, steady. The crowd swelled again when TSA drifted in, two agents scanning for a threat that wasn't where they thought. The live streamer's counter ticked up. A college kid near the window whispered, "She's way too calm." Zarah's gaze never left the people in front of her. She traced the room's tempo like a conductor. PA chimes, blade buzz, the faint click of a dozen phone cases as they adjusted angles. Then she did the smallest thing. She smoothed a palm across her clipped temple and brushed a few strands from her shoulder. The gesture was so human, so gentle, a hush rippled through 3 rows of onlookers. 24 minutes, Derek prompted, checking his watch. Decision time. Zarah looked down and, with 2 fingers, lifted one of the trampled cards from the floor as if it were nothing more than lint. She didn't show it. She only dusted it clean and set it atop her phone. Decision, she echoed, and a half-smile appeared, something like pity, something like patience. Very well, she raised the phone, thumb hovering over one favorite contact labeled Executive Command. Then she glanced past the camera lenses and spoke not to the staff, not to security, but to everyone within earshot, and to everyone watching through their screens. Question for you. If you stood 10 feet from this chair, right now, would you film, step in, or walk away? And what would it take to change your choice? The clippers stalled for the first time. In that thin slice of quiet, Zarah tapped the call. The buzz returned louder, steadier this time, echoing off the terminal glass. The crowd leaned closer, hungry for a conclusion. Phones lifted higher, faces glowing blue from their own screens. Someone whispered, "This is going viral." Zarah stayed still, her back straight, her palms resting open on her knees. The way she breathed, slow and steady, made the chaos look rehearsed. Marla Kent flicked the clippers again, pretending confidence, but her hands shook. "Almost done," she said, forcing a laugh. "We'll make you travel ready in no time." The live streamer, Ty Walsh, turned his camera closer to Zarah's face. "Y'all, look at this attitude. First class, huh? She's not even fighting back. That's called learning humility." The comment counter rolled past 1,000. Laughing emojis filled his screen. "Cut it shorter," one viewer wrote. "Make her bald." Another posted, "She's lucky they're not calling the cops." A man in a blue suit pointed. "If she dressed right, none of this would have happened." The laughter spread like fire. A woman clapped. Someone placed a $20 bill on a suitcase. "Bet they shave her clean." The mob turned cruelty into a game. Zarah's phone buzzed again, 72 missed calls. One alert flashed across the lock screen. FAA Federal Contract Briefing. Urgent. The notification disappeared beneath a scuff of Brent's boot. Marla crouched lower, pretending professionalism. "You know, honey, I'm just enforcing policy. You can't expect to walk in here looking like—" Zarah's eyes lifted. "Like what?" Marla blinked. "Like unkempt silence." Even the clippers hesitated in her hand. The assistant manager, Derek Shaw, arrived with his badge gleaming. "We'll offer you a travel voucher if you cooperate." "Company policy's clear. Is assault part of policy too?" Zarah asked softly. He smiled tightly. "Let's not dramatize. You people always—" Her gaze froze him mid-sentence. The way she looked at him, calm, dissecting, made him step back before he understood why. Then the noise came back in a wave. "Finish it," a voice shouted. "Teach her manners." Another phone flash went off. Tyler narrated to his followers. "Two security guards, one gate lead, one corporate lady. This is what happens when people don't know their place." Zarah's composure didn't crack. She shifted just enough to glance toward the glass wall, where planes taxied under the evening lights. Her reflection showed the uneven patches across her head. Still, her expression stayed unreadable, like someone observing a test result. Question for viewers. Have you ever seen a crowd so sure it's right, it forgets to think? Give your answer in comment section. Now back to story. The TSA agents arrived, uniforms crisp, eyes confused. Derek gestured toward Zarah like she was luggage that needed rerouting. "Non-compliant passenger. We're managing it," one agent frowned. "She looks calm to me." Ty kept streaming, desperate to hold his audience. "Don't worry, y'all, management's handling it. This is the real deal." The clippers buzzed again. Hair fell. The mob cheered. Zarah blinked once, slow, and whispered, "Proceed." But beneath her lap, her phone screen lit up again. Executive command. Secure line. And her thumb brushed the answer icon just once before she let it fade. The crowd didn't notice. They thought the story was ending. They had no idea it was only gathering proof. "May I have 1 minute?" Zarah's voice slid through the noise like a blade through fabric. Soft, steady, impossible to ignore. The gate fell silent. Marla's clippers hung mid-air. Ty's phone trembled in his grip, the livestream counter frozen at 3-1 silent viewers. Even Derek stopped pretending authority. Zarah looked up at them one by one, calm as if she were back in a meeting room. 60 seconds, she said again. "Then you can finish. Whatever this is." She picked up her phone from the floor, brushed away a few strands of her own hair, and pressed a single contact labeled Executive Command. She placed the call on speaker. "Authorization Cole Alpha," she said. "Initiate Code 7. The voice that answered was clear, official, and amplified by the phone's speaker. Code 7 acknowledged. "Federal override in progress. Stand by." The terminal's overhead lights flickered once, then again. The PA system cracked. A new voice replaced the usual flight updates. "Attention, all personnel. Code 7. All gate operations suspended pending federal review." The clippers stopped buzzing. TSA officers looked at each other, unsure if they'd heard correctly. Phones across the crowd blinked out, screens turning black replaced by a single line of text. Federal Investigation Protocol. Evidence Preservation Mode activated. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Someone tried to keep recording, but their camera refused. Another phone beeped and shut off entirely. "What's going on?" Ty stammered, lowering his device. "My live feed terminated," Zarah said quietly. She stood, brushing the last strands of hair from her shoulders. Her blouse still immaculate, her breathing still even. Marla's lips parted. "Is this some kind of prank?" Zarah smiled faintly. "No. You see, I designed these systems." She leaned down, gathering the scattered business cards and the trampled boarding pass. She stacked them neatly on her palm like evidence pieces. The crowd watched her every movement now, not as entertainment, but as something dangerous, something powerful. Her phone lit up again. Executive control to Cole. FAA oversight confirmed. Federal agents en route. Please remain on site. Zarah turned her head slightly toward Derek. You said I needed to comply with policy. I'm afraid you'll have to do the same. The assistant manager stepped back. Ma'am, I didn't know who… You didn't need to know who I was, she interrupted. You only needed to know I was human. The crowd that had cheered a few minutes earlier now shifted uneasily. The betting slips and coffee cups lay forgotten. Someone whispered, She's government. Zarah picked up her briefcase, dusted off a footprint. Then she said to no one in particular, This is the cost of ignorance. Documented, time-stamped, federally secured. Behind her, the PA continued, Attention. All terminals under temporary lockdown for a civil rights compliance verification. Repeat. Code 7, Federal Audit in Progress. Question for viewers. Have you ever watched someone's cruelty turn into their own undoing, faster than they could apologize? Give your thoughts in comment section. Zarah turned toward the wide airport windows. The reflection staring back at her wasn't the humiliated woman they expected. It was a strategist standing calmly inside a storm she had just redirected. Thank you for your cooperation, she said to the silent room. Now the real boarding process begins. The echo of her last words still lingered when the terminal doors burst open. A rush of polished shoes and panic followed. Patricia Wynn, the airline's CEO, swept in first, phone pressed to her ear, her assistant whispering updates she couldn't process fast enough. Behind her came Margaret Hale, head of legal, clutching a leather folio like a shield. Robert Brooks, operations lead, and Lisa Park, crisis manager, trailed behind, whispering in disbelief as they took in the scene. Hair on the floor, scissors on the chair, phones frozen mid-recording, and at the center, Zarah Cole, standing calm and unbothered, her posture radiating the quiet control of someone who already owned the outcome. Patricia's voice broke the silence first. What in God's name happened here? Derek Shaw stepped forward, trembling. There was a compliance issue, ma'am. A passenger refused to follow grooming policy, so we cut her hair. Patricia's tone sliced him apart before Zarah needed to. You cut her hair? Marla Kent, her voice cracking, whispered, She wasn't following dress code. Her appearance wasn't professional for first class. Zarah turned, her eyes steady. Professional enough to design your airline safety algorithms. Professional enough to sign your federal compliance certifications. Professional enough, she added, lifting her phone, to authorize Code 7. Patricia froze mid-breath. Code 7? Federal override, Margaret said quickly, face draining of color. That's a Department of Transportation protocol. It only applies to government-level contractors during official travel. Zarah nodded gently. Correct. And I happen to be one. Or I was, until your staff decided humiliation was entertainment. A murmur spread through the small crowd that remained. Ty Walsh lowered his phone slowly, realizing his last stream was now evidence. The screens around the terminal blinked. Flight info replaced by flashing red text, federal investigation active, all operations suspended. Patricia tried to recover her composure. Miss Cole, please, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding. Zarah didn't let her finish. I don't need apologies. I need accountability. She set her briefcase on the check-in desk, flipped it open, and turned the laptop toward them. Lines of live data filled the screen. Incident timestamps, employee IDs, social media metrics, crowd participation analytics. The system you're seeing, she said, is your own compliance tracker, the one my company installed to detect bias in customer interactions. You ignored the warning pings. Now the algorithm has flagged your entire branch as non-compliant under federal civil rights protection statutes. Margaret swallowed hard. That means full audit. Zarah nodded again. Every recorded word, every clip, every policy manual, including your so-called grooming code. The CEO stepped forward, lowering her tone. Miss Cole, perhaps we can discuss this privately. Privately? Zarah raised an eyebrow. You humiliated me publicly. You streamed it to thousands. You weaponized company policy against a woman's dignity. So no, we'll handle this publicly too." The crowd that had once filmed her sat motionless now, their screens dark, their faces reflecting guilt instead of glee. Zarah's voice softened, not with mercy but with precision. "I built systems meant to protect travelers from exactly this. And today, your people gave me perfect evidence of why they're needed." Question for viewers. If power were a mirror, what part of yourself would you see staring back? The one that enforces rules or the one that breaks them for justice? Give your thoughts in comments section. Patricia straightened her jacket, trying to salvage control. "Then tell me, Miss Cole, what happens next?" Zarah met her gaze. "Accountability," she said quietly, "and reform. One will save your airline. The other will save your conscience. Choose wisely." Her laptop chimed, a new notification sliding across the screen. Federal agents inbound. Estimated arrival, 8 minutes. Zarah closed the briefcase with a click that echoed louder than any voice in the room. "The moment your staff picked up those scissors," she said, "they weren't enforcing policy. They were rewriting it, with consequences." The sound of heels striking marble filled the terminal as federal agents entered, flanked by airport security who now stood at attention, unsure whose side they were on. Their badges gleamed under the fluorescent light. Department of Transportation, Civil Rights Division. Passengers who had cheered minutes ago now stepped back, clutching their dead phones. The arena of humiliation had turned into a courtroom. Agent Morales, tall, firm, and expressionless, took the lead. "Who is the complainant?" Zarah lifted her hand calmly. "Zarah Cole, CEO of Cole Aerospace Consulting. Federal contractor, FAA compliance specialist." The words hit like thunder. Derek's mouth opened, then closed again. Marla pressed a shaking hand to her lips. Tyler's eyes darted to the frozen livestream screen showing the last frame of Zarah's hair being cut, his voice still audible in the background saying, "Teach her humility." The agent's gaze swept across the employees. "And who authorized the assault?" No one spoke. Patricia Wynn, the CEO, finally stepped forward. "Agent, this was a grave misunderstanding." "My staff," Zarah interrupted softly but firmly, "your staff violated multiple federal statutes under the Civil Rights Act, the Federal Contractor Protection Act, and aviation discrimination laws. Each incident carries fines and criminal penalties." She turned her laptop toward the agents. The data glowed in columns. Timestamps, employee IDs, footage, and cross-referenced company policies. Every detail organized with surgical precision. Agent Morales scanned it, his expression never changing. "Miss Cole, do you confirm these are verified recordings and records?" "Yes," she said. "All authenticated through federal network encryption." He nodded once. "Then we'll need to detain all involved employees for questioning." The crowd gasped. Marla stumbled back. "Wait, no, I didn't mean to. I was just following procedure." Zarah's gaze didn't waver. "You were following bias, and you turned it into performance." Brad, the security guard, slammed his badge on the counter. "I've been here 23 years. I don't deserve this." Zarah met his fury with silence. Then, in the calmest tone imaginable, said, "You stepped on my name card and laughed." The agents moved swiftly. One by one, the employees who had mocked her were escorted away. Their faces, the same ones that had smiled while holding clippers, now looked pale and hollow. Patricia turned back to Zarah. "Ms. Cole, please. The airline will take full responsibility. Just tell us what you want." Zarah regarded her with a stillness that carried more authority than shouting ever could. "You want to know what I want?" she said, her voice quiet but sharp. "I want every woman who walks through your gates to know she won't be treated like an inconvenience. I want the next black girl who boards a plane with her natural hair to feel like she belongs in first class, not because she can afford it, but because she's earned respect." Patricia exhaled shakily. "And the legal consequences?" "That's not for me to decide," Zarah replied. "But I can tell you the cost of ignorance. It's always more than the price of education." The PA system crackled. "Again, attention, all passengers. Flight operations remain suspended due to federal review." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The airline that had mocked one, woman's appearance now kneeled before her. Authority. Question for viewers. If you had the power to make someone face the pain they gave you, would you? Or would you make them face themselves instead? Let us know your thoughts and comment. Zarah gathered her things. Justice doesn't always roar, she said softly. Sometimes it simply arrives, on schedule. As she walked past the agents and the trembling executives, her broken hair caught the overhead light, uneven, raw, but shining like armor. By the next morning, the story had exploded everywhere. Hair assault. Flight 447, Zarah Cole. Every network, every feed, every talk show had one headline. Airline staff shaves black CEO mid-flight boarding. Zarah sat quietly in her office as the sun broke through the skyline. Her short, uneven hair framed her face in soft gold light. She wasn't angry anymore. She was focused. Across town, in a crowded press room, Patricia Wynn, the airline's CEO, stood behind a podium. Cameras flashed. Microphones filled the table like weapons. Her voice trembled slightly at first, but grew steadier as she read from the statement. Yesterday, our airline committed an act of unimaginable discrimination against Ms. Zarah Cole, a respected federal contractor and aviation leader. What began as a violation of dignity ended as a national reckoning. We failed. Not just her, but every passenger who ever feared being treated as less than human. Flashes went off. Questions erupted. Is it true your staff live-streamed the attack? What penalties will the airline face? Was Ms. Cole traveling on federal business? Patricia paused. Yes, she said quietly. She was. The room gasped. A reporter shouted, "Do you understand the implications of that?" She nodded. I do now. Meanwhile, across social media, the story wasn't just trending, it was transforming. People posted photos of their natural hair, stories of humiliation in airports, salons, and workplaces. One viral tweet read, "They shaved her hair to shame her." She used the evidence to shape their power. At 10 a.m., federal press confirmed it, Cole Aerospace, consulting to oversee nationwide bias detection rollout in aviation industry. The same woman the world saw being mocked was now designing the system that would end it. Inside her office, Zarah's assistant walked in. The Department of Transportation just called. They want you to lead the new equity compliance framework. Zarah smiled faintly. So they finally realized we needed one. Her assistant hesitated. You could sue them for millions, you know. Civil rights, assault, public defamation. I could, Zarah said, eyes steady on her reflection in the glass. But I'd rather make sure it never happens again. Money fades. Systems stay. The airline's legal team announced immediate terminations. Marla Kent, Brad Jensen, Derek Shaw, and Ty Walsh, all dismissed without severance. Their names permanently flagged in the Federal Contractor Misconduct Database. Later that evening, Patricia Wynn herself arrived at Zarah's office, visibly humbled. She didn't bring lawyers or PR staff, only an envelope and a tired look. "This is a signed agreement," Patricia said softly. "Your company will lead our federal compliance transformation for the next 5 years. We'll adopt your dignity protocol, sponsor your scholarship fund, and rename our training centers in your honor." Zarah studied her for a long moment. "You think this will fix everything?" "No," Patricia admitted, "but it will start something." Zarah extended her hand. "Then start it." As their palms met, flashbulbs from the hallway lit the glass walls, the same media that once filmed her humiliation now capturing her victory. Question for viewers. When you're wronged in front of the world, what's the most powerful revenge? Anger or evolution? Answers in comments, please. The world had turned the scissors into symbols. The same airport where Zarah was shamed would soon bear a new plaque at Gate B12, dedicated to the dignity of every traveler. Inspired by Zarah Cole, and for the first time in years, she smiled, not for the cameras, not for power, but for peace. A week later, Gate B12 looked nothing like the arena of humiliation it had been. The walls gleamed with new glass panels etched with the words, "Dignity flies first." Security staff stood straighter now, trained to greet every traveler with warmth instead of suspicion. Zarah returned quietly, unannounced. Her short hair had begun to grow back, soft curls framing her face like resilience reborn. She paused at the same seat she'd been pinned to that day, where laughter once echoed and phones once recorded. Now, silence honored what had changed. Across the terminal, a group of young black girls wearing Aviation Academy uniforms recognized her. One of them whispered, "That's her. The lady who changed everything." Zarah turned, smiling. "You girls thinking of flying someday?" "Yes, ma'am," one said shyly. "Because of you." Her heart softened. That, she realized, was what justice looked like. Not courtrooms or headlines, but possibility. At that same moment, Patricia Wynn stepped into the gate, flanked by her new compliance team. She looked different, humbled, not by scandal but by growth. In her hands was a framed document. "This," Patricia said, handing it to Zarah, "is official confirmation. Every U.S. airport under our airline will now operate under the Cole Dignity Protocol. Every employee will complete intersectional awareness certification. No more humiliation. No more bias disguised as policy." Zarah read the text, her eyes glistening. "Then maybe we finally learned something." Patricia nodded. "You taught us." Flashbacks flooded through her. The scissors, the laughter, the live stream. The moment the crowd went quiet when she said, "Continue, please." Back then, she'd felt powerless. Now, she understood. That calm had been power. Not the loud, vengeful kind, but the kind that rewrites systems. As she turned to leave, one of the students tugged her sleeve. "Miss Zarah," the girl asked, "were you scared that day?" Zarah smiled gently, terrified. But fear doesn't mean weakness. It means you still have something worth protecting. The girl nodded thoughtfully, eyes bright with admiration. Later that evening, as the sun set over the city skyline, Zarah sat at her desk reviewing reports. The first quarterly update from the airline showed a 68% drop in passenger complaints and a record increase in customer trust scores among minority travelers. Her assistant entered. "The White House just confirmed your attendance for the Aviation Dignity Awards next month." Zarah chuckled softly. "Funny. A year ago, I was just trying to board a flight." She looked out the window, her reflection framed by the soft evening light. "Sometimes the universe makes you sit in the storm," she whispered, "so you can learn how to build the shelter." She typed her final words for the press release. "Justice isn't revenge. It's the blueprint for a better tomorrow." Her phone buzzed with a new notification. YouTube, Black Soul Stories. Upload successful. The thumbnail showed her standing at Gate B12, smiling with quiet grace. If you believe dignity deserves a seat in every story, subscribe, share, and be the reason someone stands taller tomorrow. The music faded. The story of her pain had become someone else's strength, and for the first time, justice had wings.